Hello, Salvadoran Warrior here. Today, we're going to talk about a really interesting character. A character which I thought was completely harmless, but this is what I forget for not reading the entire page on Steam. Because when I saw that she had a transformation gimmick, oh my god, was it horrifying. So today, I introduce you to the Innocent. Bizarre name, I know. But before I get into the gruesome details, please like and subscribe. All that silliness. And let's get right into the review. So the Innocent, again, is a transformation class, which I find really, conflicted with. However, when she does transforms, it's pretty straightforward, but I'll get to that later. As you can see on her base stats, um, without the trinkets, she doesn't really have that high crit. The accuracy is also very low, and the HP is also very low. But the dodge and speed is very high. In fact, this is her natural speed, 40. I mean natural dodge, 45. So that's really impressive for a character that has low HP. I have a lot of Darkest Dungeon characters. No, not a lot, like a handful that have low HP, and they usually have like a certain purpose. But for hers, just seems a little weird. Her resistances too also feel a little strange because if I remove one of her best trinkets, which I'll get to later, I'll move this too. As you can see, they're very low, including her disease. So she can easily get sick, she can get blighted too, and all of the stuff can happen to her too. Except for the stun. This is supposed to be a little higher, but thanks to a bad quirk, yeah, I don't know, it's pretty bad. With that aside, Death Blow is still the same like everything else. Other than that, the only two interesting stat is dodge and speed, and I found that very interesting. Now, let's discuss her combat skills. This right here is called some T ? It can be used in positions 2 and 3 and can only heal for 4, but cures horror if you're inflicted with horror. And on the self, she can also cure horror as well and buff the target, whoever she heals, 8 dodge. And as for herself, she'll give herself 8% of healing received. So what does that mean? Well, she offers T. Enough said. At the same time, if she needs healing, that 8% is going to give her a small boost. However, don't think of this as a healing character. This is something similar to the occultist, so this is only for an emergency. Before I continue with the review, I would likely say if you want to use this character, make sure you have a healer with you if you decide to put her in a team, because she's not the strongest healers, but she has the strongest stress heals, which comes to the next combat skill, a Lullaby. A Lullaby can be used in positions 2, 3, and 4. And it moves her forward, and this will always stress heal the team, well, one of the characters, by -12. And on herself, when she gets buffed, she gets a 20% stress healing done. So the more you use it, the better the stress heal the next time around. Keep in mind, this move also pulls her forward. There's a really good reason why this is, but I'll get to that very soon. For now, this is a very strong stress heal, and like I said, the more you use it, the better the stress heal will be. And if you ever wanted to have a strong stress healing in your team, this is the character that'll do it. You have one healer, one stress healer, and then you got two really good damagers. But what if I told you this is all of a way to get her to do damage? Because she can do damage, but we're not there yet. Just so you know, these are one of her tools to get her to be pulled forward so she can do the damage. So, for now, this is a really good stress heal. The next tool to pull her forward is Hide Me. Hide Me can only be used 2 times and can be used in any positions, and it does a force guard by an ally, so they're forced to protect her. However, when this happens, they get a negative 25% damage reduction, but they do suffer negative 10 dodge, but they get some stress resistance of 25. However, when you do activate this move, you're giving them a 60% chance to swap positions. There's also a 0% chance that it may not happen. So this is a huge dice roll. On the self though, she will stealth herself for 3 turns and will give herself plus 10 dodge. Now, any character that gives themselves stealth is really, really good, but I really wished this wasn't a 0% or 60%. I really wish this was, guaranteed, because since you only could use this 2 times, why make it 60%? I thought that was very, very strange. I try not to depend on this ability a lot. I feel like this ability is only used if you're in a super dire situation and you need some time to get full healed again. So you'll throw this and then you'll do the stress heal while the healer is trying their best to heal you. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But keep in mind, you only can use this 2 times, so please do not spam it like I did the first time, hoping that it'll work the second time, only so that I can't use it again. But yeah, a force guard with a damage reduction, I think it's okay. So what if you don't need that 10 dodge? It's fine, you don't need it. However, depending if you get to positions 2 or 1, you'll finally activate the transformation ability known as Playtime. Playtime is a combat skill on melee that can be used in positions 2 and 3 and can hit positions 1, 2, and 3. It has an accuracy base of 110, but doesn't really do enough damage, but there's a crit, right? Now this crit is when when it's in its monster form, it will target an enemy and it won't do any damage. However, if you decide to change into this thing, you're gonna stress your entire party, and if you do stay in this monster form, there's no changing back, by the way. You'll cause bleed for 3 points for 3 rounds. Damage over time, 3 rounds. And if marked, you will cause a bleeding chance of 40%. And if they're still marked and they're bleeding, you can add the duration by 60%. And if you're still in this form, you'll add a +2 stress to the entire party. This is what you get when you let the monster come out. But this monster also inflicts bleed, so I think that's really, really, really good if you're planning to bleed monsters. You throw this on skeletons, you're full. But the damage is something that shouldn't be scoffed at, so yeah. This is the transformation gimmick. So what other combat skills goes with Playtime? Well, let me show you. If you're in position 1, you get to use this combat skill known as Biscuit. Biscuit, can only be used in positions 1 and can hit positions 1 and 2. It has an accuracy base of 100 and does 20% damage with a crit modifier of 9%. On mark, they'll do an extra 20% damage with a plus 15 accuracy if marked and a 6% boost if marked. On hit, it will heal for 4 points, but once this is done and your team sees this horrific nightmare, you'll get a 3 stress point for the entire party. It's great. I seen it like in like the 30s and the 40s. It's crazy what you can do with this ability. Am I asking for a lot when it comes to doing damage? Yes. I want it to do more damage. That's basically what I wanted to do. But for being Mark synergied, this can actually play in a Mark synergy team's favor. The only issue is that you have to work your way to position 1 so you can do this type of crazy nonsense. So that's pretty much the issue with Biscuit. You need to be in position 1 so you can do this crazy damage stuff. That's pretty much it. That's basically my small complaint about Biscuit. If you decide to do something else, you got the other tools. Sing is an AoE move that can be used in positions 1, 2, and 3, and it pulls them back. It has an accuracy base of 110. It doesn't really do a lot of damage, but on hit, you'll get to inflict -10 dodge and -10 accuracy with a stun based on 40%. If they're marked, that 40% gets increased by 110%, so it's guaranteed that you'll stun the enemy. However, allies will be stressed out by 3 points. This is okay if you're planning to stun the entire party. It's insane, right? You stun the entire party, that would be really, really rad. And you'll do the debuffing too at the same time. I kind of wonder what this thing sounds like. Has to be beautiful, right? I hope. God damn it. It's terrifying. It is a range ability, so keep that in mind. If you're running a bad quirk that has something negative with range, you might want to get rid of it. With that aside, good stun skill, but just remember, you get pulled back, meaning you'll be away from position 1 and you won't be able to do Biscuit anymore. But this one, Seek, is a combat skill that can be used in any position and also can hit any position on the enemy side. It's an accuracy base of 115. It does a little bit of damage with a crit modifier of 8%. It goes to guard and stealth and pulls the enemy on 2 positions and targets them. If they aren't marked already, that 110% turns into 60%, so it's guaranteed if they're marked. However, once the ally sees this again, of course, it's going to be they're going to get a +2 stress instead. This is also an interesting move. You can do some damage, but at the same time, messing around with enemy positioning is just really, really, really good. And you'll mark them too. And if they're already marked, it's guaranteed. So I say this is really good, and it doesn't really mess with your positioning. So what I recommend is that you have someone to do the marking once you turn into this abomination, and you do this. And if you want to pull someone from the back row, you do this if they're marked already. And once they get to the first position, do this, and you'll get some good leeway over this. Just remember with her HP and maybe her dodges, and you should be okay. Overall, this is an interesting way of playing this character. For the first time, I have to think before I do anything. All the Darkest Dungeon characters usually has a straightforward build and usually gives you like an idea how this character is supposed to be used. With transformation characters, what I love about transformation characters is that they have a lot of tools based on situations, and this whole tool set is basically the situation that you're going to be looking at. If you need heals, you give someone some tea, and you're hoping that the next person that will heal you will give you that nice buff. I understand there's a trinket out there that's better than this, but I'm just saying, you're benefiting someone if you give them a +8 dodge. The stress heal, super strong. I hate this one, but if I need some super protection, I don't mind using it anyway. And once I'm in the right position, I activate this, and then I do all this crazy stuff for the sake of damage. If I need someone stunned, this will be rarely used, but this is the only thing you're going to be using if you're going to be turning into this abomination, to be honest. This is just a situation if you need to stun the enemy. So overall, the combat skill is good. Just, you gotta think. You gotta think ahead before you do any of these things. Now, during camping, it's actually interesting too, but she has one good camping skill, and if we get to it, I'll gush all over it. Before we start, I like to make fun of these camping skills. Very basic, but they're not terrible. Maybe except for pep talk. No one likes pep talk. Anyways, the first camping skill is the Comforting Plea. The Comforting Plea is a time cost 2, and on one companion, she'll stress heal that person with -10 stress, and will give them a 10% stress resistance. This lasts for 4 battles. It's cheap. You know how I feel about cheap camping skills? If it's cheap, it's good. So, why not? Why not? It's good. That's all I gotta say about this one. It's sort of like this one, Encouragement, which is also a time cost 2. The only difference is that Encouragement doesn't come with 10% stress resistance. It just heals for 10 stress. So, if anything, you have 2 encouragements. It's like having 2 knives. Anyways, the next combat skill is Tale of Heroes. Now, this one's actually expensive. Tale of Heroes is a time cost 5, and for all companions, they'll get +10 accuracy, +10 speed, with a 10% stress resistance. These all last for 4 battles. You know, I would have talked negative about this camping skill for being expensive, but it does have an accuracy and the speed, but it's not like the werewolves camping skill, where not only it's a nightmare protection, but you get all these crazy buffs if you activate it. And even though it's a time cost 5, you get all those buffs anyway, and I felt like it's worth paying for the time cost. This, however, I wish it was 1 point cheaper. If it was a time cost 4, I would have said this is pretty decent. But since it's a time cost 5, I don't think so, bro. However, if you have survivalists, you shouldn't really be complaining anyway. So, I wouldn't activate this camping skill if you have survivalists. If you don't have survivalists, do not use this camping skill. The next camping skill is Whimsy and Wonder. Whimsy and Wonder is a time cost 4, and on all companions, heals for negative 20. This is something conflicting. Even though it's great, at the same time, I also wish this was 1 point cheaper. If it was a time cost 3, I would have been like, this is good. But since it's a time cost 4, I don't know, man. I don't know. If you have the points to spend, sure. But if you don't and you want to use those points for something else, I would pass on this one. Do not use Whimsy and Wonder unless you have the time for it. The last camping skill is the one that's actually my favorite and is actually really good. Off to Play is a time cost 3 and on the self only prevents Nightmare Ambush and, stress heals herself with negative 15. All companions, however, have a 60% chance of getting plus 15 stress. It's cheap, and unlike the Occultist with his Nightmare Ambush, which is also a time cost 3, and also hits for a plus stress, on points, stresses out the team. At least this has a stress heal on herself. And to be honest, this is kind of selfishly awesome. It's selfishly awesome because, well, you're a monster. This is expected. This is great. I love it. I'm not being sarcastic. This is actually a really good time cost, and it's cheap. Most prevent Nightmare Ambushes are very expensive. They usually cost a time cost 4 or 5. This is probably the best it's going to get. So I say, do it anyway. Because by the time you give someone plus 15 stress, and that's a percentage by the way, you can just stress heal it all back. And you got plenty of Darkest Dungeon characters to stress heal themselves with this amount of points. So you're really not hurting the team. So I say use it. Overall, this is good. This is really good. These are very questionable, and like I said, I would only do it if it was cheaper. However, if you have Survivalists, go nuts. Yeah, Survivalist is good, guys. Trinkets. This is the only trinket you're going to be using from this here on out. It's probably the most common trinket, and that's what I like about it. It's very common, and this fixed this problem right here. For the resistances where it was really weak, you throw this on her, let her have her Barbie doll, and all of a sudden, bam, you're hitting the high 90s. Now she's almost a tank, but not really. I would think more of a super duper glass cannon that has some reinforced glass. That's basically how I look at this. It's reinforced glass cannon, all right, with these type of stats. Really good stuff. And of course you can just give her, an accuracy trinket. You can try to like buff her damage up if you want to, or you can give her this trinket. Let me see, I can find it real quick. What it was supposed to do, here we go, is give her a 40% healing received, and this fixes the problem with tea time. So if you're really that concerned, you could just give her that and you should be okay. Overall, this is a really interesting transformation character. I don't think it's terrible because, in my opinion, this is a character where you want to build a team around her. So again, you gotta have a healer for her. You gotta have a marker guy, and you can also add another person to do the marking. She's also really good in somewhat of a shuffling team. You still gotta have that healer. Maybe have Jester in there so you can do like the crazy stress stuff, and you can still use these things. You can still put her in position 2, but then you're now putting her in danger, and you're having one guy do all the work. So if you want to play it safe, I just say throw her in a Mark Synergy team and just go nuts with it. Just make sure you have that healer. And that's pretty much it. I forgot to mention the timestamp, but I'll add it in the video before I get to this whole review, because I will show stuff which she can do in the field, and you know, when you see her transformation, it's kind of crazy, kind of grotesque. But with that said, thank you for watching this review. I hope you got an interest in using this character. I'll leave a link in the description so that way you can try out this character. And all I have to say is thank you, good night, good day, and stay safe out there. Take care, guys. I'll see you around in the next Darkest Dungeon class mod review.
Inspiration and improvement. In Radiance, may we find victory. Mortality clarified in a single strike. Weakened. Press disadvantage. Give them no quarter. How quickly the tide turns. Unnerved, unbalanced. A decisive pummeling. creatures can be felled, they can be beaten.